Hi, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you so much for being here for our Saturday live stream. Today, our special guest is Panama Pet Relocation. It's a company that can help you get your pets to Panama where you don't have to pay the big prices for a charter flight, and you don't have to worry about all the stress of the 10-day time-sensitive paperwork situation if they're flying on commercial. So you're going to learn about a whole new way that you can get your pets here to Panama. Before we get started, and while people are still rolling in, I have just a couple of announcements to make. So many of you have commented if I'm feeling better. Yes, I had strep throat when I talked to you on Wednesday, and my throat was giving out on me. But I went to the doctor that day and I got some antibiotics, finished all the antibiotics. I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you so much for your concern and for all your well wishes email that I got also. Just a little bit of background for the benefit of those of you that are new. My name is Jackie Lang, the owner of Panama Relocation Tours. Since 2010, we've been helping people move to Panama the right way and the easy way so that you can avoid expensive mistakes and just have a pleasant trip whenever you're moving down to Panama because you know how to do things the right way. We offer all-inclusive tours, private tours. We also have something called our online Panama Relocation Guide, which is like a home study course. You can get more about moving to Panama. You can get more information about all of those things on our website at PanamaRelocationTours.com. I just have a couple of announcements to make before we bring on our guest to talk about pet relocation. One of the first announcements is we had a bit of a problem that we were kind of sold out on our tours until June. So today we added another tour for May the 30th through June the 6th. I think we only have like 15 hotel rooms for that. So it's going to be a smaller tour group. So May 30th through June the 6th. We also got an opening for the May 16th tour. And you can see more information about Panama Relocation Tours if you go to our website and then click on the Tours tab. If you want to sign up for one of those tours, we only require a $500 per person deposit. The remainder isn't due until 30 days before your tour. Just click on that Book a Tour tab, the big red tab at the very top, if you want to grab one of those tours. Some other big news is I saw a Forbes article today that Panama was ranked as the #1 place to retire to or to move to in the whole world. International Living does something called their Global Index. They usually do it in January, but because so many people are thinking about moving overseas right now, they went ahead and released it early. So you can see if you go to just do a Google search for Forbes International Living, and I'm sure that article would come up. I also put a link to it on our Facebook page for Panama Relocation Tours, so you can read why Panama was ranked as the #1 place to move to. Of course, I already knew that. That's why I'm here, and that's why I've been teaching you since 2010 about moving to Panama, but now it's getting on the radar of some other people. Some other big news, just one other big announcement. Right now we're running our Black Friday special where you get $100 off on the online Panama Relocation Guide if you enter coupon code Black Friday 100. And you can go to PanamaRelocationTours.com/Black Friday to read more about our Black Friday sale. Well, what the plan is that everybody that bought the online Panama Relocation Guide during our Black Friday special that started on November the 26th, it ends on December the 2nd at midnight, everybody that buys it was going to be entered into a drawing for us to give away 2 all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama Relocation Tours. Each one of those is worth $4,000, and we're going to give away 2. I was talking to my son today and my daughter today, and we decided to up the ante. We're going to double your chances of winning, and we're going to give away 4 all-inclusive, 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tours for everybody that buys the online Panama relocation guide before December the 2nd if you've entered coupon code Black Friday 100. So now you have double the chance of winning a free tour. Might want to go check out information about our Black Friday sale. Let me put that banner up again real quick right here. PanamaRelocationTours.com/Black Friday. You can read all about the online guide, what it includes, and also about us giving away 4 Panama relocation tours. Each one is valued at $4,000. So good luck. I hope you win. We'll be announcing the winners on December the 5th or December 6th, I think it is. December 6th, we're going to announce who the winners are. So those are my big announcements that I had, and now I want to bring on our special guest. Let me pop her up here on the screen. Karina, hi. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you for inviting us. A pleasure to
Yes.
be here.
So we've got a lot of people on the line, and even before we got started, somebody said that the thing that I did an interview or like a survey a few months ago, and I said, what are the 2 things that worry you the most about moving to Panama? The number 1 thing was getting their pets to Panama safely. That was what everybody worries about. The number 2 thing they worried about was how to get rid of all the stuff in their house before they move to Panama. Because it's, so you've accumulated for 20, 30, 40 years of all those things. And what are you going to do with all that stuff? So that was the other thing that people worried about. But you have a solution for getting your pets to Panama. We've done some other interviews to talk about driving to Panama with your pets, flying on a commercial flight, flying on a charter flight, all those things. But this is something kind of in the middle of all of those things. So tell us a little bit about Panama Pet Relocation and how it works from start to finish.
Okay.
You there?
Panama Pet
Yeah.
Relocation started about 21 years ago now. We've been moving patient services, immigration, real estate, freight forwarding, but after a few years, we only specialized in pet relocation. So there are several services that we offer, from the door-to-door service, where we take care of everything from vet visits at origin, all documents, consulate endorsements, reservations, pre-check with the airlines, traveling to the airport, checking your pet at the airport, getting your crate ready, flying to Panama, and then in Panama at the airport, doing all the customs clearance at the airport until your pet is at home, safely at home with you. That is one of the services, the door-to-door. We also offer service of customs clearance in Panama, which we guide you through the process of all the documents you need to get at origin, taking your pet to the vet, because you can do that part yourself, taking your pet to the vet for all the health certificate, vaccines up to date. We check all the documents for you. We send a copy of the documents to the airport authorities to make sure everything is correct, and then we wait for you or your pet, if flying, in cabin or flying alone. We wait at the airport for the customs clearance. That's another service. We also handle travel documents. If you are taking your pet in cabin with you or as excess baggage, we can only do the documents. So there are several services that we can offer, and we do we move pets to Panama and from Panama to any other country in the world. So it's not only coming to Panama, but if you need to, we also do all the export process for you too.
So that was one of the questions I had is, can you relocate pets to Panama from any country, or are there only specific countries you work from?
Any country. From any country. We have a worldwide network of companies that we work with, that we are all part of an organization, so we can move your pet from any part of the world.
Okay, that's really good to know because I know some people, especially like in Australia and New Zealand, they're really freaking out about how in the world they're going to get their pets here to Panama because of the rules and regulations and restrictions here. So they need to talk to you about how to get their pets here. On the first service that you talked about, where you just handle everything for the pet, do you stay? Is there a human that's with the pet the whole time? And would it be flying in cabin or in cargo?
Mostly as live animal cargo. That's the service that we use the most, as live animal cargo.
Mhm.
We use airlines that are trusted airlines and that have pets correctly. We make sure that the pet is traveling in the right crate size so they can have enough ventilation. We make sure to hydrate the pet before their flight, and no food a few hours before the flight. So we make all the arrangements to make the flight as safe as possible. But that's the main service that we offer. We are starting to offer a pet nanny service uh, with some pets that are snub-nosed, because it's getting harder and harder to move French bulldogs, English bulldogs, all those
Right.
type of snub-nosed pets.
And
So
a lot of
we are
airlines that won't take a pet
pet
bull also.
nanny,
Yeah,
but
that's a
it's
problem.
it's not to every destination.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
so that was one of the
pit
things I
bulls can
wanted.
fly in cargo, so it's mostly for the snub-nosed.
Yeah. But is one of your
Okay.
associates on the same plane that the pet is on, usually?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So you
If
have
we
your
are
associate.
using a pet nanny, it's one of our associates that travel with the pet all the time. But it's something that, yeah, we're starting to offer that for pets that are not accepted as live animal cargo because because they are snub-nosed dogs. Or if it's a very small dog that needs to travel, like a Chihuahua or a cat that needs
Yeah,
to
it can
travel
be
and
underneath
can
the
go in the
seat.
cabin in the that can go in a bag, in a then
So
we
I
can
know.
do that too. But for bigger, mhm,
Yeah, so I know a lot of people
mhm.
are going to have some questions, and if you could hold off on those questions for just a little bit while we get through some things that I want to ask Karina about and talk about, and maybe we'll answer your question. Towards the end of the live stream, I'll take your question. I know a lot of people want to say, well, what is it going to cost? And there's really no way you can know what it's going to cost. You know, if you're flying from um, uh, let's say Toronto, Canada to Panama, that's one price. If you're flying from Miami, Florida to Panama, it's a different price. You know, if you've got a little dog versus a big dog versus three big dogs, it's a different price. So if anybody's interested in finding out what's it going to cost, the best thing for you to do is to contact Panama Pet Relocation and let them know where you are. Let me pop it up here on the screen real quick. PanamaPetRelocation.com. So let them know where you are, you know, about your dog, the age, the size, all those kind of things, and then they can give you an exact price because there's just no way that we can say, you know, if it's going to be a 2-hour flight, it's one thing, 8-hour flight, if it's going to, there's just so many different variables to give a price.
Yeah,
I can tell you that the price
each
is going to
case
be,
is
yeah, it's going to, you
each
know,
case is very particular.
we've talked about what it would cost if you were to do all the paperwork yourself and have your pet on a commercial flight. Remember, the paperwork can't be more than 10 days old for that. So we've talked about what that would cost. We've also talked about what it would cost if you flew on a charter flight that's shared with some other people. So that's about $7,000 for one person with two pets. And the pet would be in cabin. So their service is kind of in between those two, just so that you know that it's another alternative for you to consider. Their premium service is one where they just take care of everything, so you take the stress away. We did an interview recently with a couple that moved to Panama City, Tommy and Becky Norton, that use your service, and they said there were just so many things that they were working on, you know, getting the paperwork for their visa, getting rid of everything in their house, getting their house sold, getting their car sold, just so many moving parts. Moving to Panama, they didn't want to have to worry about or perhaps drop the ball and miss doing the wrong thing on getting their pets here. So they used your service, and they said it just took the stress away, knowing that their pets were going to get here and be delivered to them quickly and easily. So, this service is something that if you've got pets and you've got so many other things that you're working on your move to Panama, then it's something you should certainly consider. And the best thing to do is to contact Panama Pet Relocation to get a quote from them on what it would cost from your location, because there's so many different variables: size of pet, where you live, which service you're going to pick, all kinds of different things.
Right.
Yeah. So if someone, let's say someone
Right.
if someone contacted you, let's say they lived in Dallas, Texas, kind of in the middle of the country, and they wanted to move their pets here and they want you to handle everything, tell us how that whole process would work. Well, first of all, they should probably contact you just a month or two in advance, right? To get on your schedule.
Right. Yes, to make sure the vaccines, because if you don't have vaccines up to date, then it's to come to Panama. For example, the rabies vaccine, if it's the first vaccine, or if you have to revaccinate your dog, it's better to wait 30 days. So a month in advance should be enough. So for a door-to-door, for example, in Dallas, we have, team members in Dallas who would pick up the dog, take the dog to the vet for the health checkup, get the health certificate for you, send that to the USDA, which needs to be authenticated, and then send it to the closest Panama consulate for authentication, because Panama requires the health certificate to be authenticated. So that needs to be within 10 days of the flight, because airlines require the paperwork not to be older than 10 days, even though Panama accepts health certificates up to 30 days old. But
Right.
It's the airlines that require the 10-day window. So then, depending on the airline, there can be a pre-check 1 or 2 days before the flight, which means picking up your dog, taking them to the airport so they can get measurement, weight, make sure that the right size of crate is being used. And the day of travel, then we have our teams take the pet to the airport, walk them, hydrate them, then make sure everything is correct. They have their towel or blanket, they have their plates, attached to the crate door, until the pet flies to Panama. In Panama, we sent all the documents a few days in advance to the Panamanian authorities, alerting them of the arrival of pets, is to make sure all the documents are okay, to make sure a vet is going to be at that time of arrival, and then our team members are at the airport waiting for the pets to do all the clearance process, which takes around between an hour and 2 hours upon flight's arrival. And it's usually, if it's in Panama City, we deliver your pet usually on the same day. If it's in Boquete or Chiriquí, because we have sent pets to Boca del Toro, Chiriquí, Pedací, all over the country, then we usually board them for one night in Panama City with our network hotel and deliver pets the next day.
Now, I know in some situations, if someone lives in a smaller town, there may not be an airport right in that town that does any, that you couldn't even put your pet. You would have to be drive to a bigger airport. For example, I don't know some specific towns, but if you lived in a little town and there was just a small airport where you were, they may not have any planes that take pets in cargo, or maybe not even in cabin for smaller ones. So it might be necessary sometimes to transport the pet to a bigger airport like Miami or Houston or Los Angeles,
right,
or Denver. Right.
That's correct. It's big dogs like a big German Shepherd or a big Great Dane. Miami is the only airport that we can ship that pet to. So we have a network of companies that can drive your pet to Miami, or sometimes owners drive themselves with the pets to Miami to deliver them to our partners in Miami.
Mm-hmm. Typically, whenever someone uses your services, they try to get on a flight that's maybe not the same flight as their pet, but they try to get on a flight so that both the pet and them are arriving in Panama at about the same time.
Yes. If they are traveling on the same day, they try to be on the same flight, which is not always possible, but we can try to do that. If not, we recommend them to take a flight a day earlier in case there is a delay or a cancellation, so they can be in Panama when their pet arrives.
Yeah. So that's great. So, and they should well, first of all, anytime that you're going to get the international health certificate, before they can get that health certificate, they have to be up to date on their vaccinations. So they should contact you at least 2 months in advance. And get a list of vaccinations. Maybe you can see the vaccine card for the pet to know if they can even issue a international health certificate for the pet, because it has to have those vaccinations to come into Panama.
Yes.
Yeah, you froze up a little bit there. So yeah, so Karina's screen froze up a little bit, but definitely whether you're flying on a commercial flight and you're bringing your pet.
Panama requires almost all vaccines: rabies, distemper, hepatitis.
Yeah, we have, for those of you that have our online Panama relocation guide, we have a list of the vaccines.
No, that Panama.
Yeah, in the online Panama relocation.
Requires all vaccines, plus internal and external deworming, cats, the same vaccine and deworming.
So one of the questions that comes up often that I get is if their dog, or maybe even cats too, if they got a rabies vaccine that was supposed to be good for 3 years, did they have to get another rabies vaccine within 30 days before they get the health certificate? No.
Panama accepts 3-year vaccines.
Okay, good. Okay. So let's say that someone does go with your service where you're just going to take care of everything. From the time you pick up the pet until the time the pet gets to Panama, is that usually 24 to 48 hours?
Oh, the traveling is usually on the same day. If it's from the United States or Canada, it's the same day arrival. If it's from other countries like Asia or Africa or even Europe, is the same day. If it's a direct flight. If it's not a direct flight, they may have to sleep in Amsterdam or Madrid or Paris, which are the airlines that we use for pets from Europe. So the US, it's same day.
Okay. So I'm going to open it up for some questions from our audience because I see some good questions coming in. This person, she has 6 pets. They're all young cats and young dogs. Is it too many to bring into Panama on one flight? Can you do that? I know the cat can, at least one of the cats can go underneath the seat in front.
Well, 6 pets, yeah, depending on the airline and the city, because some airlines will accept 6 pets, mostly the ones we use from Miami. But a commercial airline, we will probably have to split that in 2 because it's mostly 3 or 4 pets that commercial airlines accept. So you can bring them. If it's 6 cats, probably, because they are small crates.
Right. What about, cats and dogs are pretty easy. They come into Panama all the time. What about like a parrot? Can you get a parrot into Panama?
Yes, we can. It's a more complex process because there are more permits and the permits take longer to issue in the US and in Panama. But yes, we have moved a couple of birds too, and from Miami only. That's the only thing, that it's from Miami.
Okay. So you would have to transport the bird to Miami and then fly from Miami to Panama, right? but you can handle all the paperwork to
Right.
get the bird into Panama. That's good to know. I've got
Yes.
2 or 3 people that they've been working for 6 months trying to get their bird into
Yes.
Panama. It's a complicated process, so maybe they need to contact you for some help. So Karen says, so with full service from Washington State, where would the animals be flying out of? Seattle? She has multiple pets, 2 dogs and 3 cats. Is that doable?
Yes, it is. We would have to look at the size of the dogs, if they are not restricted breeds, if they are not big. But from Seattle, it will probably be from an airport in California, because we don't have for Copa is the airline that we mostly use. Copa, then we use Avianca also. So we would have to look if Seattle is. I don't think we could do that directly from Seattle, but from California.
Okay. Karine wants to know if the flight is not you probably try to always get the pet on a nonstop flight. But let's say it's not on a nonstop flight. Is someone from your company going to walk the dog, give them some water, give them some food and stuff for the layover? Is that possible?
Okay. From the U.S., we always use direct flights. From Europe, for example, or a pet coming from the U.S. through Panama to South America, it's the airline personnel that takes care of the pet's layover. They take them out of the cages, they hydrate them, depending on how many hours the layover is, because sometimes there is no time to do that. But if it's a long layover, and if they're like for four or more hours, then the pet is taken care by the airline personnel, which they take them to a walk, for potty, and hydrate them. So the layovers, yes.
Okay. And then I know sometimes, like if you're getting the paperwork and you have to get the authentication at the Panama consulate, and there may be a 1-day delay before they're going to get on the plane. Do the dog or the cat stay with you in a hotel, or do you have a pet hotel that they stay at? How is that dealt with?
Yes, we have a network of pet hotels. So if there is a delay, or if the owners arrive after the pets, then yes, we board them, and we have great network hotels where the pets go out and play, where the pets are really well taken care of.
Yeah. So Carol says that she's been trying to get a permit for her parrot into Panama. She's requested a special request to get one permit to get her bird here. She's been working with Golden Frog for 4 or 5 months. Should she contact you? Maybe you can expedite that process a little bit.
Birds is very long process, up to a year. So 4 or 5 months is still okay, because it's a very long process for birds. It's usually no less than 6 months. A year, I would say a year would be the average to get all because they require many tests, permits from different offices. So it's very long and complex process for birds.
Now, everybody needs to know that when your pet does come into Panama, that there is a mandatory 40-day quarantine for your pet. Now, for a parrot, it might be even longer. I don't know, but what's it going to do? It's going to stay in the house anyway. But everybody needs to know that there is a quarantine, that it needs to stay in the house or on your property after it comes to Panama. Just to make you aware of that. We have more details about it in our online Panama relocation guide. So Cheryl says, do you have service for 2 cats out of New York City?
Yes, from New York, yes, direct flight.
Okay. Yeah, direct flight. You probably try to always get on a direct flight whenever possible, even if it means you drive the dog to where the plane's going to leave, where it's a direct flight, right?
Yes. Direct flight from the US and Canada, it's almost all the time direct flights.
Right. And it's just better. It's better for your pet also, because if it's a direct flight, it's probably going to be a 4 or 5 hour flight versus, multiple stops could be a 12-hour day. and very exhausting for your pet. So it's really better for your pet and for everybody if it's a nonstop flight, even if it means they have to be driven to Houston or driven to Austin or driven to Miami or Los Angeles or wherever that nonstop flight is leaving from. It's just better.
Yes.
Delisha says, relocating my two 10-year-old Siamese cats from Minneapolis, Minnesota, within 6 months to a year. Is it possible to ship them directly from here to Panama? Are there any nonstops from Minneapolis to Panama?
No, not yet. So the best way for them would be to look for a closer airport where if they are cats, they can bring them in cabin. That would be like the best way. Bring them in cabin with them, but look for an airport that has a direct flight, even if they have to drive. But that would be the best way because they are cats, and cats can be brought, can be transported in cabin. If there are 2 passengers, only 2 passengers, 1 passenger per cat.
Okay. Yeah. So this person is moving from Sydney, Australia to Panama. What would my cat and dog experience in total, in general, if you were transporting them?
Okay, from Sydney to Panama, yes, it's a long way. It would have to be, a layover flight. So it would be a 2 or 3 day trip from Sydney to Panama. They will be taken care of in their layovers and everything. So that can be possible. It's a longer process because, it's a long way. But yes, it is doable.
Mm-hmm. Rick says, what size dog can travel in cabin on commercial carriers? It has to be able to fit underneath the seat in front of you. I think it's a 20-pound limit. Is that right?
Each airline has their own measurements for the crate, but it's usually like a bag that is used for crate. It's a soft bag. And yes, it should go under the seat, and the weight, they are going, some airlines are accepting 15 up to 15 pounds, other up to 18 pounds, others up to 20 pounds. So 20 pounds maximum for cats and dogs for in cabin on commercial airlines.
Okay. Another question that came up from Debbie, which I get that question quite a bit. So, has anyone had a cat positive for FIV, feline AIDS, allowed into Panama? Do you know if they would allow that?
We would have to ask the airport authorities. We have never had that case before. But if the cat is healthy, there shouldn't be any problem. But it's something that we need to ask because they really don't ask for that test to come into Panama, just the vaccines. So,
okay.
So it's not something that you would write on the vaccine card or health certificate. It must be fit to fly, healthy to fly. So it would probably be allowed.
Okay, that's good to know. It just depends on the airline and what their rules are. And if you go to any of the airlines, if you go Copa Airlines pet policy, it'll tell you what their pet policy is. If you do Avianca Airline pet policy, it tells you what their pet policy is. So if one airline says no, don't give up. There's many other airlines that fly into Panama, so you can just check with some of the others.
Yes, you have to comply with requirements and also with the airline requirements, which sometimes they can ask for additional things. So you have to check for both requirements.
Yeah. So do you fly direct out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin? She has 2 cats.
No, unfortunately, from Milwaukee, there is no direct flights. So it would be the closest airport to look for departure.
Okay. What are the general conditions in the cargo area? I know it's pressurized, so it's similar to if you were flying in cabin, but for the pet, I'm sure that there's some restrictions on how big the crate can be, and then Is it air conditioned, heated? What are the conditions like?
Yeah, the cargo is temperature controlled. The same temperature that is in the cabin for passengers should be in the cargo area for pets. It's separate from the bags because people think that they are by the luggage. It's a separate area from the luggage. It has a dim light. It's not totally dark. It's a dim light, and it's pressurized, obviously, and temperature controlled.
Okay. And then, one of like if you were going to try to bring your pets yourself and they had to go in cargo, you have to get to the airport like 4 hours before the flight and do just all kinds of paperwork and check in. So having someone else just take care of all of those things for you to make sure your pet gets on the plane safely, it just takes the stress away. So Jody has a French bulldog that's 24 pounds. Will he have to go in cargo? And I'm not sure. Some airlines won't transport a French bulldog. You might have to go with a charter flight. Is that true that some airlines won't transport a French bulldog?
Yes, some airlines will not accept French bulldogs anymore. So
Yeah.
it's 24 pounds, so more than the allowed weight. So we that's the cases that we are trying to get them with a pet nanny.
Okay. And
But yeah, mhm.
Yeah, if you can't get them on a commercial flight, everybody needs to know that we have several recommendations for charter flights. Most of them leave out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And if you are on a shared flight, the cost is about $7,000 for one person and up to 2 pets. And if the pets are small, they'll take even more. So if it's a couple that's flying, one of the things they recommend is maybe the husband stays with the pets on the charter and the wife flies business class instead of paying for 2 humans to come on because there's only limited space. So that's one way to do it. And then your pet is in the cabin. You don't have to worry about it going in cargo. But if you have a French bulldog or a pit bull or a Great Dane, something that's just too big to fly commercial, your best bet is to fly charter, which we found a company that will do it for a really good price, considering it's usually like $25,000 for a charter. There's ways to do it to get it down to about 7.
No, Great Danes can be transported from Miami in a wooden, we build a wooden crate for them. And
Okay.
pit bulls are also accepted by an airline, but we have to also build a wood crate for pit bulls. And they mostly from Miami, but yes, those breeds can be transported by, in a cargo flight with a wooden crate, customized crate.
Okay. So Cheryl says, what does a nanny do? What's a pet nanny? What's their job?
Well, their job is to travel with the pet in cabin, make sure that the pet gets hydrated during the flight, that the pet is okay until arrival to destination. Because, for example, a cat or a chihuahua, instead of going, if they travel by themselves, they need to go in cargo because there's no passenger traveling with them. So mostly what we're trying to do is for small pets that their owners cannot travel with them, either they are in Panama or they are coming afterwards, then a pet nanny travels like if they are the owners traveling with their pets.
Okay.
That's basically.
So airlines have a rule that if you have a pet that's going to be flying in cabin, it's one person, one pet underneath the seat in front of you. You can't have 2. And many airlines have a restriction of 2, maybe 3 pets that can fly in cabin on any flight. So if you're just one person and you have 2 pets, then either you could pay for a friend to come to Panama with your pet. You can get on our PRT Facebook group and say, hey, I want to travel on these days and I need someone to fly with me to have another cat or dog, small dog, underneath the seat in front of me, or you can hire a nanny service from Panama Pet Relocation Company to get your pets here. You have a lot of different options, so many different ways.
Yes.
So, do you have a service that handles the paperwork and we do everything else?
In Panama, yes, we do that a lot for people departing from Panama. We get a home vet visit to issue the health certificate. We get the export permit for you, and depending on the country you're traveling, there are other forms. For example, Europe requires an European Community Health Certificate that needs to get endorsed in the Ministry of Health. So yes, departing from Panama, we can get the paperwork for you, and either you take your pet in cabin or as excess baggage, which is mostly the way when you get the documents, because cargo is complex. So cargo is more complex, and for cargo, you have to. We recommend, if you can, to hire a company for cargo.
Yeah. So there was another question that came up, and I scrolled off the screen before I clicked on it. A lady wanted to know about flying her cats out of San Antonio, Texas to Panama. And my guess is you'd probably have to go up to Austin, because it's less than a 2-hour drive from San Antonio to Austin, because from Austin there's nonstop flights on Copa to Panama.
Right.
Or you could go to Houston that has nonstop flights, but San Antonio would be closer for you to go to. Is there a maximum weight for a pet to use your service?
No. If for Miami, if the pet is too big, it's usually from Miami that we ship them. But there's no maximum weight. We have moved, really big dogs in a wooden crate. We have even moved jaguars. We moved 3 jaguars from Panama to Florida. They were special, metal cages. But there is no maximum weight. So whatever you need to move, contact us, and we'll let you know how
So
to handle it.
Usually it's a cat or a dog, and we've talked about parrots. Are there any other animals that you would relocate to Panama, like a horse or a pig or any other, a hamster, whatever that people might have for their turtle they have?
Turtles, ferrets, hamsters, guinea pigs. Those are pretty much most of the ones that we moved.
Okay. And whenever you fly into Panama, because it's Copa Airlines, usually you always would fly into Panama City. Is that right? You don't have, do you ever do a situation where you fly into Panama City, then the pet is transported to a flight to David and you bring them to David, or do you just usually do a drive to David?
No, we can do that. From David, usually the pets that we move from Chiriquí area, we put them in a flight in Copa David to Panama City, and then from Panama City to their final destination, and then the other way around. If they arrive to Panama, then they can take usually it's a same day flight to David in Copa. So yes.
Mm-hmm. So as far as a service dog, Jody, someone asked about a service dog. So Jody, if you have a service dog and it has all the correct documents, then the service dog would be able to fly in cabin. It wouldn't have to go in cargo.
No, the service dogs usually fly with their owners in the cabin. They have all their documentations that they are trained to be a service dogs, and then the owner has a letter from their doctor indicating the condition that they have, and then the rest of the documents, the health certificate, vaccines, all of those are required. But if it's a service dog and you have all your documentation, you should be allowed to travel in the cabin with your dog.
Okay, so really you just need to get the paperwork. You need to get the health certificate, If you're coming from the United States, it has to be re-authenticated with the USDA, and then it has to be either authenticated again through the Panama consulate, or you could go to the Secretary of State for your
Right.
state and get apostilled in the
Mhm.
state, which is, so, if you live in a capital city, then sometimes that's a faster way to go as opposed to sending the documents to the Panama consulate. Because even with a service dog, if you're flying on a commercial flight, there's that 10-day window that the documents can't be more than 10 days old. So it's very time sensitive. You need to make sure, a couple of other things that you need to make sure of is there's blackout dates for some of the airlines on flying pets into Panama. For example, in Panama, with Copa Airlines, I think it's between December the 15th and like January the 5th, no pets can be flown into Panama. And the same thing with some of the other airlines. Also, it's better if you don't arrive on a weekend, because you need to make sure that there's a veterinarian that's on staff, and you can probably arrange for one to be there, but you need a veterinarian on staff because they have to inspect the pet and the documentation when you come into Panama, and take care of everything there.
Correct.
So we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the live stream, but let's reiterate it for people that came in a little bit later. If someone goes with your door-to-door service, what are your responsibilities and what would they be required to do?
They would only require to give us the information that we are asking, and give us the dog and the vaccine card. That's pretty much what they would require to do, because we will be taking care of everything until your dog is at your house in Panama.
Okay, so you take care of getting the health certificate, the authentication at the Panama, the USDA from the US, or the Agriculture Department of whichever country, and then authentication at the Panama consulate. Plus, there's documentation that's required in Panama for the quarantine paperwork and to get the dog inspected by a veterinarian in Panama. So there's a lot of different moving parts.
Yeah, the home quarantine request form that is sent to the Ministry of Health at the airport, we take care of that. Checking all the paperwork, we take care of that. So we take care of everything. Door to door, it's everything.
Mm-hmm. So just one other thing that I want to bring up, because I've got some questions coming in from people that came in a little bit late. So we can't really discuss what the price is, because the price depends on so many different variables. It depends on where you live. Right now, are you in Toronto? Are you in Germany? Are you in Florida or California? And where you're going to in Panama, it depends on how many pets. It depends on the size of the pets. So there's a lot of different variables. The best thing for you to do to get more information and to get a quote on a price is to contact Karina at PanamaPetRelocation.com. You can go to their website, give them a little bit more information, and then they can give you perhaps a quote on door-to-door, and then another service that they might also offer to give you some different variables of what it's going to do. So I want to thank you so much, Karina.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for all this information. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you want to share with anybody that's thinking about bringing their pets into Panama?
Yes, it's doable. It can sound a stressful process, but it's something that I think owners get more stressed than their pets when it becomes to moving their pets. Because pets, if you get them acquainted, you get them used to their travel crates a few weeks in advance, get them something inside the crate, for example, a t-shirt that has your smell. If you get them used to their crate, they do pretty well because they feel secure inside the crate. So yeah. It's something not to worry too much. We understand that they are part of the family. They are like your kids. But if relocation is planned well, done well, they are very, very safe relocation. So You can contact us for more information. You can contact us for quotes. Our phone number is in our website. You can chat or call.
Yeah. So thank you so much for all of this information. It gives people another option. You know, they can either do all the paperwork themselves, get their pet to Panama on a commercial flight and handle it all themselves, or you can get a charter flight. So the pet can be in cabin with you and get them here if you've got the money to do that. This is sort of in the middle of those two prices. So it's another option for you and how you can get your pets here and take the stress away, not from the pets, but from you. Can I get all the work in the 10 days and, you know, what if this and what if that? And you've got all these questions. So it's just letting somebody else handle everything for you. You've got.
For the cargo parts, it is sometimes difficult to work with airlines for cargo reservations because cargo is different from in-cabin or excess baggage. And the cargo process, it can get complex, and sometimes airlines are difficult to work with and they don't give you the correct information. So the cargo process is a complex one.
Okay. Yeah, and with cargo, you can't actually even make that reservation until the 10 days before when you have all your documentation ready. You can communicate with them in advance and know that it's coming. But everything about bringing pets into Panama is a time-sensitive situation. It's either a 10-day time-sensitive situation or a 30-day time-sensitive situation because your health, it all is based on the health certificate. If the pet's flying commercial, the documentation can't be more than 10 days old. If you're flying on a charter flight, the documentation can be up to 30 days old, and Panama will accept the certificates if it's up to 30 days old. So only you can decide, all of you, only you can decide, you know, if you want to handle it yourself. Know that thousands and thousands and thousands of people have brought their pets here, and they did it all by themselves with no problem. Other people used a Panama Pet Relocation to get their pets here, and it took the stress away. Some people did a charter. One way or the other, you can get your pets here to Panama. Yeah. So Karina, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you to everybody that was on the live stream about using a pet relocation service. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, and don't forget about our Black Friday special for the online Panama relocation guide. You can get $100 off if you use coupon code Black Friday 100. And everybody that buys it during the Black Friday sale is going to be entered into a drawing to win a free, all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour. We're giving away 4 tours. So make sure and buy that online guide soon. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.